The palace that once echoed with strength and wisdom now trembles in silence. Sheikh Hamdan, our beloved Fazza, stands in the shadow of fear, watching his father, his guide, his king, his light collapse before his eyes. The moment feels heavier than mountains. The air around becomes frozen, and the world itself holds its breath. The father, who was always a pillar of courage, now lies in fragile stillness. And the son, who carries the hope of a nation, closes his eyes and whispers prayers with trembling lips. Ya Allah, heal him, protect him. Do not let this bond break. The walls of the ICU echo with unspoken cries. As family, friends, and the entire nation bow their heads in dua. For a son, no crown is greater than the love of his father. And for a nation, no prayer is stronger than unity in faith. Tears fall, hearts shiver, yet hope refuses to die. Even in pain, Sheikh Hamdan stands with grace, his soul torn, yet his spirit unbroken. He knows his father is more than just blood. He is a legacy, a prayer answered, a symbol of love. And so, Dubai prays, the world prays for healing, for strength, for Fazza. Because when a father falls, a son's heart carries the weight of the universe. And when that son is Hamdan, his tears are shared by millions who love him. The night had not ended, yet it already felt like eternity. The silence of the palace was heavier than steel, carrying with it the grief of a family, the fear of a nation, and the trembling heart of a son. Sheikh Hamdan, beloved as Fazza, stood at the edge of his father's bed, his eyes locked on the fragile breaths that kept hope alive. The strong man who once carried the weight of an empire now lay in weakness, his chest rising and falling with the fragile rhythm of borrowed time. Fazza's mind was not in the present alone. It was wandering through memories, flashing like broken glass inside his chest. He remembered being a child, riding by his father's side in the vast desert, learning that patience was the key to strength. He remembered late evenings when wisdom poured from his father's lips like a guiding lantern in the darkness. He remembered the warmth of his embrace, the firmness of his voice, and the endless mercy in his eyes. And now, to see that very source of strength lying still, it was as if the sun itself had fallen from the sky. Tears pressed behind his eyes, but Hamdan refused to let them fall easily, not because he did not feel them, but because he carried the weight of more than himself. He carried the weight of his brothers who were breaking quietly beside him. He carried the weight of his people who prayed outside the palace, their hearts trembling with fear for their leader. He carried the weight of his nation, who saw in his father not just a man, but a father to millions, a shepherd to a flock, a beacon to a country. Yet in his heart, the prayer was simple. Ya Allah, return him to us. Spare us from this loss. Give him strength. Give us hope. Outside the palace, Dubai was no longer a city of shining lights. It was a city of prayers. Mosques overflowed, voices cracked with dua, and children lifted their tiny hands to the heavens. In every street, whispers of Ya Shafi, heal him, rose like incense into the sky. The desert winds carried the weight of those prayers, and even the stars seemed to dim, as if the universe itself mourned with Hamdan. But inside the ICU, the world was reduced to one bed, one man, one fragile heartbeat. The machines beeped steadily, indifferent to the emotions of the room. Doctors rushed, nurses whispered, and the family stood frozen in their own storms. One brother's tears refused to stop. Another's silence was louder than thunder. Their mother, though strong, trembled like a fragile leaf in the wind. And in the center stood Hamdan, his hand locked around his father's, as though his grip alone could anchor him to life. He did not speak much, for words were useless. Instead, his silence was filled with promises. Promises to continue his father's vision, to carry his love for the people, to stand as a son worthy of the legacy. Inwardly he made a vow: if Allah grants me this miracle, I will never let a day pass without gratitude. And if Allah chooses to take him, I will carry his name like a sword, his honor like a crown, and his love like a heartbeat in my chest. The hours dragged on, but hope refused to die. Hamdan's heart was breaking, but it was also unbreakable. He knew pain, but he also knew faith. He felt despair, but he also clung to the rope of prayer. And in that fragile balance, he stood like a lighthouse in the storm, not because he was without fear, but because he refused to surrender to it. The night became a test, not just of a son's love, but of a nation's unity. Every tear that fell was matched by a prayer. Every fear was balanced by faith. Every weakness was held together by love. And in that endless night, Sheikh Hamdan learned once again that true strength is not in never.